Hello. Today we're going to finish up Acts chapter 19, starting at verse 23. This whole section just goes over some riots, or a riot, that's happening in Ephesus. In Ephesus there's a big disturbance in Christianity, or they refer to as the Way. There's a silversmith there. His name is Demetrius. He's really involved in building all these shrines to Artemis. That's a pretty big business. The craftsmen there all benefit from this. So he calls all of them together and people in the related trades, and he says, "You know, my friends, we've received good income from this business. And you see and hear how this Paul fellow has convinced and led astray large numbers of people here, and practically in the entire province of Asia. He says that gods made by human hands are not gods at all." Praise God for that. This brings danger to our trade and our good name, but also Artemis herself, and Artemis will be robbed of her divine majesty. Well, when the workers heard this, they were furious, and they shouted, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians." But this sent the city into an uproar. People seized Gaius and Aristarchus. These are two companions of Paul's while they're traveling around Macedonia. All three of them ran into the theater together. Paul wanted to appear before the crowd. The disciples wouldn't let him. Even some of the officials who in the area who were friends of Paul were begging him not to go there. This is a great example of mob mentality. There was a lot of confusion in the assembly. People were shouting some things, people others, and there was people there who didn't even understand why they were there. Yet there's commotion, so they're adding to it. So the Jews in the crowd pushed Alexander to the front, and he motioned for their silence so that he could make a defense for the people. And then they realized he was a Jew, and they all shouted in unison, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians." And they did that for a couple hours. So the city clerk had to take control of the situation. He said, "Fellow Ephesians, doesn't the entire world know that Ephesus is the guardian of the temple of the great Artemis? He claims these facts are undeniable, and people ought to calm down. He says these people never robbed or blasphemed or done anything wrong. So if Demetrius the craftsman has any grievances against people, the courts are here, the proconsuls are here, he can press charges. If there's anything further that you guys would want to bring up, it must be settled in a legal assembly." He says, "As it is now, we're at danger of being charged with rioting because of the situation." And he finishes off by saying, "In that case, we would not be able to account for the commotion since there is no reason for it." And he dismissed the assembly. And that is the end of chapter 19. I notice God, Jesus, the disciples, they are not afraid to acknowledge the fact that these strange gods and goddesses, little g's, they were acknowledged. They existed in some way, form, or fashion. People like to write it all off as myth and fairy tales, and I think the world's a little darker than that. Do not encourage that you're trying to figure out things about these gods and goddesses. Just saying, don't dismiss them as fake. I think Satan might like that a little too much. Be aware of the evils that are around you. Dive into this book, do your research yourself, come to your own conclusions, and remember to ask yourself, what are you doing with your salvation?